Hello everybody and welcome. Today we're going to be going over cuts and scoring for the S.A.L.E Consumer Decision Making Competition. So the way that it is scored is for every category in consumer decision making or class, you can get up to 50 points. And that is based on how close you got to the judge's product placement. So if the judges placed it like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you did 2, 1, 3, 4, you're probably going to get most of the points. Whereas if you did it the complete opposite way, you're probably not going to get any points at all. And then you can also get an additional 50 points per oral reasoned class, and that's basically defending why you think the product placement is the way it is. And the score for that, of how many of the points you actually get, is based on how well you spoke to the judge, and they're going to be using a rubric to determine how well you actually did. Now, a little quick note, scoring well in oral reasons will not give you points when you're judging the class, or vice versa, or in your judging of the class. What I mean by this is, let's say that you fully convince the judge that you came up with the right answer and you do perfect on your oral reasons. But in terms of what the judge wrote down as the correct product placement, but versus what you wrote down, let's say that you completely messed that up and you would have gotten no points for it, you're still not going to get any points for your judging. You're going to get all 50 of the points for the oral reasons. But just because you do well in the oral reasons and you convince the judge that that's actually how the placement is meant to be, you can't get the points back from judging. However, seeing as how that's the case, you don't really need to worry about it because you've already done your best with the judging, so you may as well go in as if you already have the perfect product placement. And I hope that you believe that you have the right product placement, because otherwise, why do you put it down? But yeah, the scoring does not help either category. If you do well in the judging, it's not going to help you in the oral reasons, vice versa. When you're judging the classes, in terms of actually how to place these classes, you are going to write what you think the best product is first, which means it's going to be leftmost, and you're going to write the pick for worst last. So it goes from best to worst. And the reason I'm saying this is because all the products are going to have a number attached to them, like product 2, product 3, product 4, product 1. You get the idea. And so if I think product 2 is the best, I'm going to put it first. So it's going to be 2. And then if I think that product 1 is the second best, it's going to be 2, 1. And if I think product 4 is third, then it's 2, 1, 4. And if I think 3 is last, then it's 2, 1, 4, 3. So that's how you actually write it down on, I believe that they're going to have a reader there. And so that's how you actually dot it in. So, there we go. So with these, here's an example of product 3 is the best, product 1 is the second, 4 is third, 2 is fourth, so it comes out as 3, 1, 4, 2. Now with this, 3 and 1 are going to be what you call a top pair, and this is just terminology in order to help you communicate. And you're going to need this for oral reasons, so it's important to know. So 3 and 1 in this scenario are your first two choices. Your top two are your top pair. Your middle two, which in this case are 1 and 4, are your middle pair. And then the two that you think are in last, so 4 and 2 in this scenario, are your bottom pair. And that is just terminology to help you talk to the judges, because a lot of times you're comparing the two products that are closest together. And so it can be nice to say something along the lines of, I judge this 3, 1, 4, 2 with an easy top pair and a difficult bottom pair. And the reason you say that is just because, like, let's say the bottom pair is really close, it's a difficult choice, but if the top pair is really easy, it's an easy choice. So you receive a cut whenever you rank the products in the wrong order. So if I have a judge that does it 1, 2, 3, 4, and I do 2, 1, 3, 4, I'm going to receive a cut to the 50 possible points that I could have gotten. And all the cuts are subtracted from the points I would have received from the class. So if the cut is an 8-point cut, it would be 50 minus 8, I'd get 42 points. So here's an example for how to read the cuts. Here's our good old 3, 1, 4, 2. And you can see in between, there's these numbers over here. We got 5, a 2, and a 7. So the numbers on the bottom row show how many points I will lose if I judge the pair in the wrong order and I switch them around. So let's say I switch 3 and 1, so I go 1, 3, 4, 2 instead of 3, 1, 4, 2. I'll lose 5 points. Now, let's say I switch 4 and 3. I'm going to lose 5 plus 2 points. I'm going to lose 7 points for that. And we'll get back to all the ways that this gets judged later, but that's the idea between the cuts. If I switched 2 and 1, I'd lose 9 points. If I switched 2 and 4, I'd lose 7. 4 and 1, I'd lose 2 points. And if I did something really wrong and I switched 2 and 3, I'm going to lose 14 points. Now, after that, there's going to be a larger cut if the choice is fairly easy. So what that means is, like, let's say that this is a really easy choice. Let's say that 2 is just a horrible product in general. Even though, just a little side note, for all reasons, even if you're showing flaws in the product, you don't really want to be trashing the products you're talking about. But let's say that 2 is a horrible product and 4 is half decent, right? It's like, okay, that's a good product and it's pretty clear which one's better. Well, if I get those two confused and I switch them and I get the problem wrong, I am going to receive a larger penalty because it should have been an easy choice. Whereas with that middle pair, let's say the middle pair is pretty close, right? Like, they all have basically most of the same features. There's only a little bit of difference. If I get that wrong, it was a more difficult choice, and so it's not going to be penalized as much. So there's only a 2 there. So here's how you score the cuts. So here's our judge's answer, 3, 1, 4, 2, and here's how many points they think you should lose for each little part. And let's say here's our answer, 1, 3, 2, 4, right? The way you judge is you start with the first number in your own answer, and you compare it to the numbers after it. So we start with 1, and we look at the next number, 3, and then we see if that agrees with what the judges said. Did they put 1 over 3? They did not. So we lose the amount in between 1 and 3, which is 5, so we subtract 5. Then we look at the 2, and so we say, okay, did we placed 1 over 2? Does that agree with the judges? Did the judges place the 1 over the 2? Yes, they did, so we don't lose anything. And then we do that with the 4 next. So we place the 1 over 4. It agrees with the judges. We don't subtract anything. Now we go to the next one, which is the number 3. And with this, because we've already compared the 1 to all 3 of these, we're not going to need the 1. We only compare to the numbers to the right because those are combinations that we haven't checked yet. So we place the 3 over the 2, right? That agrees with the judges, so we don't subtract anything. And we place the 3 over the 4, that agrees with the judges. Both of those agreed with the judges. I don't know if I made a mistake when I was talking, but both of those agree with the judges, so we don't subtract anything. And then we go to our last number, 2, and the only number we haven't compared that to is the 4 yet. So we check if we were meant to place the 2 over the 4. We were not. It disagrees with the judges, so we subtract 7. Now we tally it all up. So we receive 2 cuts, the 5 and the 7, and we add those together. 5 plus 7 equals 12, and we subtract the 12 from the 50, so we get 38 points. Another neat thing is that with the judges' score, they cannot make the cuts total anything greater than 15. So look at the top of this slide, and you'll see the 5, the 2, and the 7, right? Those are the cuts between the products. They cannot decide one day to be like, you know what? This is so obvious, I'm going to make the cut between the top pair 50 points, right? It's just an instant fail if you make a mistake there. They can't do that. The total of all those cuts has to be 15 or less. So if we add those up, 5 plus 2 plus 7 is 14. It's good. But if we switch this 2 out for a 4 in the middle, then it would be 5 plus 4 plus 7. That'd be 16. It wouldn't be a valid category. So with all these, it has to stay below 15. And that's just also good knowledge if you're trying to make little mock categories for yourself to practice on. So finally, I'm going to go over one last example and then end it here. So we have a judge, and their category placement or their class placement is 4, 1, 3, 2. And it's the top pair cut is 5, middle pair cut is 8, and then the bottom pair cut is 2. And then in this scenario, we did not choose the right things. Everything is like flipped around, and it's all wrong. It's actually perfectly flipped around. The worst one's at the top, second worst is, second best, etc., etc. So completely messed the category up. So let's try to judge it. So we have 2, and we look at the next number 3. Did the judges put 2 over 3? They didn't. So we take away the points in between. So that's 2 points gone. Then we check the 1, 2 over 1. That disagrees with the judges, right? 1's over 2. So now we add up the 2 and the 8 together, because that's all the space in between the 2 and the 1. And we lose 2 plus 8 points, or 10 points, right? Then we check the 4 last, 2 over 4. Oof, that's a rough one. Disagrees with the judges. And so we lose all the points in between, in which case that's all the different cuts. That's 2 plus 8 plus 5. We lose another 15 points. Then we go on to the next one. 3 was 3 over 1, because we placed 3 over 1, but the judges didn't, so it's wrong, and we lose the amount in between 3 and 1, or 8 points. Then we have 3 over 4, and that also disagrees with the judges, and so there's a 5 and there's an 8 in between the 3 and the 4, so we lose 13 more points. And then we finally have our last combination, which is the 1 over 4, and that's pretty close, but it disagrees with the judges, and so we only lose that 5 points in between the 1 and the 4. So we had 50 points, and then our deductions are, what we're taking away is a 2, a 10, a 15, an 8, a 13, and a 5. So if we add all those up, it's 53 points, and we're subtracting that into 50 points. But because I do not believe you're allowed to get negative points, you just don't get anything. 0 points were awarded for this class. So I hope this helped everyone, and I hope you have a good day. If anyone has any questions, please put them in the comments, and I will see you in the next video, if there is one.